Everything we know, from people and ants to stars and galaxies to quarks and atoms, the entire universe, might just be a simulation running inside a supercomputer inside an even bigger universe. Ancient philosophers said that the universe is a dream that we're waiting to wake up from. In this dream world of the imagination, anything is possible. All cultural items, from the dreams of our rodent-like ancestors, to books, to television shows, are merely permutations of the reality we think we live in. Today's age of computers and video games places simulations at the center of our cultural consciousness. A select group of us perform simulations for fun and profit, and we call them games, role-playing and otherwise. We live to run simulations. Join us on the Simulationist Podcast as we explore our culture of simulations.
Hello, all you people out there, all our friends. Welcome back to the Simulationist Podcast. This is the 166th, wow, that's a lot of numbers, iteration of the show.
Was that like 1/8 of 1,000?
Yeah,
somewhere around there.
1/6 is.
Oh, okay, yeah, 1/6. Sorry, 1/8 would be 12%. So back over in the 120s, we were at 1/8. Now we're up to 1/6 of 1,000.
A sixth of 1,000.
Yeah.
We're recording this on the 9th, 8th November.
It's almost the 9th. It's getting a little late.
Nearing midnight. 2015. In case you're listening in the far 2030s.
Or beyond. I mean, who knows how long the internet keeps everything around. Maybe they listen to us, in 3015.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, in which case we are like classic literature.
Yeah.
Wow, bet you didn't even think about that one when you started doing your iterations, eh? We might qualify. Some poor undergrad student is going to have to critique us in order to get a passing grade to get his or her or its degree.
That's right.
My God, I feel so sorry for you. In which case, I give free rein for anybody in the future who has to study us to make up whatever bullcrap they need to get an A, and any professor that does not agree with them is not worth their tenure. There we go. I've just helped you earn a bunch of good grades. I should become classic effective literature now.
That's right. Well, we should give our names just in case they need to get written down in some history book somewhere. I am Josh Trelevin.
I am Ryan Kirkby.
There you go.
Yeah. There we go. So speaking of classic literature and all that, this is NaNoWriMo in full swing now.
Oh boy.
The next generation of classic literature is being made this month.
That's right.
Hopefully. So it's the 8th, and they encourage you to write 5,000 words a day.
I think it's 1667 words a day.
Oh, so I'm nowhere near as bad behind. Okay. Oh my. Okay. In that case, if it's we'll say 1,700 words a day, I am still very far behind. I haven't managed to write a single word this month for novel writing purposes. I made some notes about a campaign setting, but that's about it.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm still behind. I guess I can still catch up though on NaNoWriMo.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I will, but hey, that's one of these years.
In my defense, I had a 45-hour work week, and it's a 6-day long thing, and I'm still coming down off my family being here. So tomorrow is going to be the first normal day I've had to start off a week in a very long time for me.
Yeah, and you don't think you'll use that to write 10,000 words of fiction?
I will at least consider it, as I'm, watching cartoons with my daughter in the morning, and then, helping her nap towards the afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, because it was a long work week for me, I missed last week's, Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I do have to get caught up on that before next Tuesday, when I'm going to have to watch the next, Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't want to get behind on this. I don't want to wind up, I meant to, but then I missed one, and then it was so easy to miss another, because I didn't want to, say, oh, what's going on here? And the next thing you know, it's 3 seasons later, and I haven't seen anything. So.
I should I guess if you're watching TV that you actually want to get.
Oh, and I do, but it is so very easy to get behind, because it's if I watch it this week, there'll be questions I won't be able to understand, the answer to, because I'll have missed, the plot progression from last week. Oh, geez, I guess I'll have to skip this and watch 2 of them, next week, and then it repeats and it builds up. It snowballs. Is the term.
Now, I've tried multitasking before and tried writing and watching a show at the same time. but either I usually end up stopping. Like my brain doesn't want to do. Like I'll either stop writing and just watch the show, or I'll completely tune out the show and just be writing and be like, oh, there's a show on. So
I do sometimes the same when I'm watching my sci-fi Saturday nights.
Yeah.
When I'm doing a little reading and I'm trying to like watch the TV series.
Yeah, it's hard to do them at the same time.
You know what's the easiest solution? Just having a nap instead. It's like, Adam West, you make an excellent Batman, but I'm a little tired and I just split my energies. I'm going down. Such is the life of a dad now. It's like, A, B, or nap. C'est la vie.
But with NaNoWriMo, it doesn't have to be good, right? So you could, in theory, just write sort of gibberish as you're watching a show, and that might actually work.
It could, but I'd like to write something that people might care about later on. And like, if I'm going to make the time to write, I was going to be something good enough that people should take the time to read. If I just write gibberish, it's then like why read at all?
Well, that's a good point. I think the reason that they do NaNoWriMo to begin with is just to get people writing anything at all, just because that habit that's a habit that you can form in terms of writing every day, and then you don't ever actually, in theory anyways, some people sometimes will try and publish or get other people to read their nano projects. But yeah, you never actually reveal your NaNoWriMo project. That just gets you in the habit of like, oh, that's...
Didn't our friend Kathy get her book done from NaNoWriMo? That's why she's a published authoress?
I don't remember. I don't know how she ultimately... Yeah, I can't remember.
I think it was connected to NaNoWriMo, whether or not she got it done in the month or whether she just got started and into the habit and then finished up as time allowed.
Yeah.
I'm going to call her an authораtrix until further notice because that sounds more awesome. Like, anybody can be an author, but she's an authораtrix. Which has got like a lot more attitude. Until further notice, that's the term I'm giving her. She's, by the way, doing a vlog cast, video log stuff.
Oh, really? I didn't even know about that. I'll put that in the show notes.
Yes. I believe the first episode for her is inevitably embarrassing first episode.
Oh.
So yeah.
Now, is it on YouTube?
It is indeed on YouTube. Yes.
Okay.
So hooray! We're part of like a community now of this stuff. Woo! Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's good. But in addition to just it being NaNoWriMo, we do have a little bit of fiction-based news this week. The eternally, it seems, long-awaited, long time. Is it happening? Is it not happening? Apocryphal thing. Of Warcraft, the movie. The trailer's finally out.
Okay.
Hooray! That's the thing. For the long time, it's all like a Warcraft movie. That's going to happen. Despite the fact that you got 11 million people playing it every month. And it's like, no, we're not going to touch your plot at all and make a hit movie out of that. And then you had that was the same Weeble guy. The German. Yeah.
Uwe
Boll? I like to call him Weeble because, he wobbles but he won't fall down.
Okay.
But he apparently went into the offices of, Blizzard and said, hey, I would like to make your movie, for Warcraft. And they apparently literally laughed him out of the office.
Mm-hmm.
His production stuff is known as being so bad that the concept of them letting him have access to their intellectual property was laughable. So laughable, they laughed him right out of the office. Which is fine by me. I mean... I don't mind some of the stuff he's done. There was one, House of the Dead, I actually found entertaining. It was clearly, just whatever, just you gotta spit it out, sort of, enjoy.
Okay.
Sort of thing. And, not gonna win Oscars or anything, but, I was like, okay, yeah, this definitely seems like something that was based off of a video game that I've never actually played. So I was far enough away from the source material to not get, oh my goodness, I can't believe they changed it all around so much. So it was he's good for that, but something like Warcraft, not quite his thing. But it's out, and oh my goodness, from what I saw, it's got a lot of time spent with the orcs.
Yeah. Well, you can't have Warcraft without.
Well, so that's orcs. The thing. From what I had been last told on the movie was it would focus on. The human, a king sort of thing.
Oh, I see.
During the times of the first, Warcraft orcs versus humans, when the orcs were primarily a bunch of, demon, enraged, crazy, war monsters.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas this one looks like, they're fighting because there's nowhere to go behind them. Like the world is breaking up, so they have to fight to get the land. So they have, and they're not going to back down because there's nowhere to back down to.
Yeah.
It's kind of a forced assault. So it looks like it's going to have some very interesting stuff. I was quite happy with what I saw from the CGI. I am still a little saddened they didn't go full CGI, because the city, it's like, oh my goodness, look at the city of Stormwind, it's so beautiful, it's mostly CGI. And look at the orcs, they're CGI, and the people are like real human people. It's like, oh. Like, if you recall, the trailers they've produced over the years for the various World of Warcraft expansions and all that stuff. It's good stuff.
It's always been very good animation, yeah.
Even when they're just taking the sprites from the game and moving around, they at least have good enough storylines to make you get involved.
Yeah.
Like, I remember, the Zulamon one, that was not exactly the best cinematic thing, because they were just taking, the sprites and maneuvering them as they wished. But the story, it was, compelling. You like it here? You'll stay here forever. We're gonna bury you here. Just the attitude they had on it, like, oh my God, I can't believe that. And so, so I kind of assumed, because when they do their cinematic stuff, it's good quality cinematics, that they would have gone the whole way. But apparently, that Final Fantasy movie kind of burned Hollywood stuff on not doing anything that's pure CGI. That is for a big name thing. So it's just kind of sad, because I kind of like Final Fantasy, the movie. I would have preferred a Final Fantasy VII movie, but any generic Final Fantasy movie was a decent movie.
Yep.
But so I'm gonna be optimistically hopeful about the Warcraft movie. This does, however, mean there's a lot of movies coming out this year I really want to watch. Deadpool, the Warhammer movie. Oh my goodness, there's a few others that keep blipping up on my radar. It's like, ooh, I should catch that one. Oh, it's coming out this year. I'm like, oh, that's a long list coming out. I believe the next Avengers is coming out towards the end of the year. Let's see. Oh, there's the big one coming out for Christmas this year. What's that one going to be? Darn it, I'm so used to it being, by default, Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I can't recall what the big one's going to wind up being for this Christmas season.
Well, it's not Star Wars, right?
Oh, yes, actually, it is the Star Wars one.
Oh, that's this Christmas?
It is coming out towards the Christmas season, towards, that.
All right.
And so that one's, I gotta see that. So it's like, I only got so much spare money to go around, guys. Despite the long work weeks, I only got a finite number of bills to use this with. So,
that's true, yeah.
So come on, guys, cut me a little slack here. But who knows? Maybe I'll make certain I can catch it in 2D and pay only $10 instead of $15. That way I could watch 3 movies instead of 2. So hooray! But oh my goodness, this like good nerdy horizons for movies this upcoming year.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Well, sorry, the end of this year and the upcoming next year. So within the next 12 months.
The next calendar year, I suppose, or not calendar,
the next 12 years.
Yeah, next 12 months.
Next 12 years if you want to look
next
at
12 years
of all the stuff for DC and Marvel.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I am more rooting towards seeing more Marvel movies than DC, but that's only because DC hasn't proven themselves towards the grand epic scope that Marvel has.
Yeah.
Yet. There's always hope with that Dawn of Justice Batman and Superman movie.
Okay.
And if not, maybe DC style shouldn't be the big, it all ties together in one epic universe, and more of, here are the characters, and here's an interesting story about them, and then just keep it more out there and apart. I think that might be an interesting departure. That said, DC still rules the roost when it comes to the small screen.
Right.
Despite, the good, hits here and there that Marvel's produced, notably the X-Men cartoons over the years and the Spider-Man stuff, it just doesn't compare to the Teen Titans, the Justice League, and all the stuff, and all the made-for, video movies that they've produced. So they're still not doing too bad, but they're not making $1 billion off the next, Wonder Woman movie. Oh well.
Yeah.
Yes. In addition to the news, I have a conspiracy notion this week, based on real-world news.
All right. Let's
Okay.
hear it.
So, this week, in the real world news, President Obama has basically nixed the Keystone XL pipeline idea going down to the coast of Mexico.
Okay.
Um,
I'm sure there's plenty of conspiracies already around that.
Well,
Conspiracy theories on that.
but the one was that someone I knew posted on Facebook
Okay.
saying, the reason for that was because without the pipeline, there's going to have to get shipped down by rail. And who owns, major stocks in one of the two railway companies that does that sort of corridor area? Why, it's none other than Warren Buffett, beloved, heavily, philanthropic, investor and smart man all around, who is also one of the larger contributors to the Democratic Party of America. So he posits that Warren Buffett put pressure on Obama to nix it so that he could wind up lining his pockets.
Yeah. This sounds like kind of a usual conspiracy theory from...
Follow the money. I mean, that's a classic, black throat line.
Okay, yeah.
Or sorry, deep throat line for, the black...
Deep throat.
Deep throat for the black, espionage, in shadows, dark whispering voices and all that stuff. That said, I'm pretty certain the person who posted it does not have a large amount of information on Warren Buffett's, investing habits, how much conversation he's had with President Obama or his underlings. And the reasons I heard for why Obama, said no to the pipeline make sense. The pipeline folks, the Keystone and the other, oil companies have never been completely honest with both the amount of jobs they say that these pipelines will wind up creating as a permanent thing, and they do not have the best record of cleaning up after their messes, or making sure there's enough money to actually cover that. Which brings up another point. After the Lac Megan tick sort of thing, if Warren Buffett's private whatever railway company is going to wind up sending so much stuff south, does he have enough invested, in insurance and elsewhere, that if and when another one of these incidences occurs and takes human lives, that the company is going to still wind up netting any sort of profit? Or is he just gambling on it? No, it'll never happen, despite the amount of extra stuff we're pumping out on these lines.
Yeah, under the current regulatory regime, he would make a profit, because usually what exists currently is that government or local communities have to pay for cleanups and stuff like that. But what's happening, I don't know, sometimes happens, doesn't always, but sometimes a state or a city will be able to sue a company and might be able to get a rather large settlement.
Until they declare bankruptcy.
Yeah, that can happen, yeah.
But it doesn't seem, though, within the nature of what I know of Warren Buffett. This is a guy who goes around to other billionaires and tries to get them to become philanthropists by, giving off, a gross sum of their money. This is a guy who has given more money to various charities and foundations than I could in 1,000 of my lifetimes.
Right, yeah.
So this is clearly a man who cares about, the public trust and about helping people out. And it doesn't seem like he'd say, but I will line my own pockets with money of oil as we ship crude down my private, railroad lines with my company, ha ha ha. Thus I shall affect policy changes in the White House. He doesn't seem like that sort of figure from the other stuff I'm seeing for his actual actions. Conspiracy actions versus real actions, I'm going to take what I've seen from his real actions. That said, maybe he did wind up putting a little pressure, saying, you know what, I know you don't want it, but I want to ask you to, come down now and say no on it as opposed to waiting, Mr. Obama.
Yeah, that's possible. It's also possible...
Help finalize the deal, so to speak.
It's also possible that the science lined up, because I think Obama, the reasons he gives for rejecting the pipeline are relatively straightforward, I don't know about scientific, but environmental, this and this isn't in place.
Enviro-conscious.
And yeah, we're not confident that there wouldn't be a spill, et cetera, et cetera. So it might be a matter of the billionaire neglecting to put pressure in a certain area or able to.
That's the thing. Warren Buffett is not a stupid guy.
Yeah.
So it could very well be that, yes, he winds up making out like a bandit, but it might not necessarily be that he put pressure on because he says, you know what, this other project is just going to be so risky, and from what I know of the character of Obama is not going to fly. I don't even need to make a phone call to make things happen. It just it's not going to happen with the way of his nature.
Yeah,
Which
that's possible, yeah.
Would work a lot closer to what I know of Warren Buffett being a smart guy. Not like omni-smart. He has said that, you take away all his money and you drop him in the streets of New Delhi, he's going to die there in a week. He is not going to wind up making another $1 billion as he finds his way home.
Oh, sometimes billionaires will brag about that. I don't know if that was Warren Buffett.
No, Warren Buffett said he's like, I know stocks and all that, and I need the money to make the money. So, like, if you drop me, broken penniless over in New Delhi, where I don't know the language, I don't have basic skills, I'm going to wind up starving to death within a week.
Yeah, okay.
So he's freely, able to say he knows what he knows and he knows what he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Which is the mark of a wise man, in my opinion. To know what you don't know is a very good position to find yourself grounded in.
Although my suspicion with the billionaires and stuff is that they would have contacts around the world, so if
you need to find somebody who spoke English or thing, not always easy there.
Well, a big city like New Delhi, you'd find somebody.
Eventually, you'd find somebody, but would you be able to find somebody who's willing to listen to him? This crazy, like penniless white guy on the streets of New Delhi saying he's one of the richest men on earth. Are you going to really pay that much attention to it?
I think you could probably. Yeah, I think you.
If there's like a guy with a heavy, Mexican accent came up to you and said he's the richest man on earth and he needs your help. You gonna help him?
Well, I'm not gonna give him, my bank account or whatever, but I will because
one of the richest people on earth, is a Mexican man who owns extensive telecommunications, stock and equipment.
What would I do for that guy? What can I do? It's the same as anybody who comes up to me on the street. I'm like, okay, well, here's $1. Ask a few other people and you'll get together a sandwich to get to the next day, and eventually you might run into somebody who can give you more assistance than I can because, what can I do?
I will make a few phone calls for you, but you got to stay outside my house and I get 1% of your next year's earnings.
Yeah, play a little hardball with Warren Buffett. Playing hardball with Warren Buffett. That's the podcast.
Because face it like this: if it is Warren Buffett, congratulations, you are now well enough to not need to do anything for the rest of your life. If it's not Warren Buffett, whatever, you just made a few phone calls on his behalf.
Yep.
There you go. Hi, you guys missing a multi-billionaire? Because I was able to get this phone call into Warren Buffett's private sanctum sanctorum. Because apparently a man called, who says he's Warren Buffett has said, all the right information to get me here.
But hang on.
So you might want to come pick him up.
In this scenario, though, we're saying that sort of somehow his wealth was wiped out, right? Because
taken away from him. I don't know if he said if you take away my billions, it's like if you leave me penniless on the streets of New Delhi, I would die within a week.
So, we're not assuming that he still has a bank account somewhere, that as long as he can get to a bank, then he can get it out. But
well, see, that's the thing, because of the nature of the paparazzi. I could buy a story whereby Warren Buffett was suddenly dropped somewhere, on non-English speaking world, without any money. But if Warren Buffett was to lose all of his money somehow, I'm betting he could make some money back by, writing a book about it, and there would be press and publicity everywhere trying to hear a bit of his story. What is it like to go from, riches to rags?
Well, that's what I was going to say about those big companies and stuff, that they would hire Warren Buffett, they would pay him a salary just to say they had him on their board. They don't even need him to actually do work or, consultation or whatever. Unless
he got caught doing something, absolutely horrific. In which case it becomes toxic property and everyone's
I guess that could happen, yeah.
Warren Buffett juggles babies. Not even for a purpose, man. This is not even for relaxation or meditation. He does it because he's rich enough to do it and get away with it.
Yeah, but sometimes I wonder, like, that's why Donald Trump...
I don't actually believe that, by the way, so please don't sue.
That's why Donald Trump cares so much, or, like, puts his name on so many things, is because
I thought he was just egotistical.
Well, the thing that's worth money, I mean that too, but the thing that's worth money is his name, and, like, at this point, like, a company would just, give him money just to say, oh, yeah, Trump is with us, or something like that.
But isn't Trump such a polarizing figure that it doesn't work the same way with Warren Buffett?
I don't think he's a polarizing figure in the business world. He is in the political world, but that's a different ballgame. Bit different, as if I know anything about ball games. But yeah, that's different, I think. I don't know.
Because I know Trump is such a, a guy that, like, just because, you put Trump on it, people are going to avoid it simply because they do not want any money of theirs to potentially go to him unless there's no other choice.
I don't think that's the case in the world of business and stuff.
Because I do know that there are people that will not go to Trump Casino.
Yeah, like regular folks, though. I mean, not
the regular folks. Yeah, and that's the thing is because of his name, they're not going to his casino, and his name does affect trends, not always positively. Whereas I would eat at Warren Buffett's buffet, even if I wanted. Just off the top of my head, I'd eat at the Buffett buffet. And I'd, like, even if it wound up being that, to go there, you'd have to, like, show, like, a stub from some sort of charity work you've done recently.
Okay.
I'll do a little charity work and I'll go eat the Buffett buffet.
I think that's probably a small percentage of the sort of the populace, I think, would have that idea. I think most people would say, well, business is a different thing. I mean, we know he has these politics, but whatever, like, that's a different thing, and we just want to go to a casino. So I think most people would probably be fine.
But in Vegas, is it really that hard to find another casino?
Is there? Yeah.
There's a lot of casinos in Vegas.
But there's also a lot of people, and there's a lot of just...
Trust me, there's always one more spot at the table, and there's always a slot machine free. Yeah. It's Vegas. If that wasn't the case, then they're not doing it right. You've been to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't you know that there's always room for one more? It's a pleasure cruise, baby. So long as you got the cash.
Pleasure cruise in the desert.
Well, some would say it's the ship of fools. Ho-ho!
Would some say that?
Well, yeah, any people say gambling would be for fools. So, if it's a pleasure cruise, then it would be the ship of fools. What? I think my line of tenuous logic holds true.
But how is it a ship? That's what I'm asking.
Because it's like a pleasure cruise, man.
But how is it like a pleasure cruise?
You have been to Vegas, right? Have you seen their $2 buffets?
Yeah, there's pleasure. Okay, I got pleasure. Cruise? Where are you cruising to?
All the way up and down the strip. You go on the South Strip, you hit the Fremont Street Experience, man.
And in like a boat? In a limo. Okay, so you're cruising in a limo.
If you got the cash for it, definitely a limo. By the way, I do recommend going around in a limo at least once when you're in Vegas. It's worth the cash. And let's face it, if you were gambling, you'd lose it with no experience. So go somewhere fun in a limo.
But you can't park your limo in the casino. You have to leave it on the road or have
that's why you only get I need to go from here to there. I need the limo, and then you pay the guy a certain amount of money.
Okay. So it's a bit like a pleasure cruise in that you're going port to port, only in this scenario, it's a limousine from casino to casino.
Especially because the limousines are much more accommodating for you than the bus system.
Yeah.
They have a monorail, but it doesn't go everywhere. It doesn't go to the Fremont Street sort of thing. It just ends at the old Sahara, which is now closed, which is a little depressing. End of the line is a dead casino.
They must have like bus tours with like a whole full of retired people all going to Vegas together.
Oh yeah, you can see that going up and down all day. You got like groups of people from all over the world going there. It's amazing. Huh. It's as close to going to like a fictional, like a crazy, like not real existence. Because I mean, you got the regular Vegas, which is an actual city, right? The city of Las Vegas, and then you got the Strip, and the Strip is just like, it's like almost like entering Wonderland. Sometimes it's just like. Everyone's promising things. Anything you want, they got it for you, man. They give out little cards, like trading cards, but instead of like baseball figures, there's naked ladies on there.
There's your Vegas appeal.
Gotta count them all. But no. So it's just like you could like, do you want to go see the Eiffel Tower? They got an Eiffel Tower there. You want to go see the Statue of Liberty, they got one of those too. If you want to go to the medieval times, they got that. You want a classy sort of 50s style place, they got the Tropicana. You want to go to the MGM Grand where the biggest fights in the world happen for money? It's there too.
Huh.
And they got all sorts of little things in between, stuff you never even knew you wanted to go see until you see it for the first time.
How did we get into a commercial about Las Vegas?
Honestly, I believe
Vegas.com.
Honestly, I believe anybody who's been to Vegas is a little bit of a commercial for Las Vegas. It's a great place.
Yeah.
Oh, unless you wind up like having like an absolutely horrible experience, you know, and like losing your shirt and like becoming penniless.
Right, that can happen.
And well, at least you got a story out of it.
Yeah.
But yes, we go on tangents here.
And then you get dumped in the streets of New Delhi, and you have to make your way back into the world.
It might be easier to make your way in New Delhi because there's less chance of like, okay, I got a couple of bucks. Now I'm going to gamble it up into $1 million. Oh, no, I'm broke again.
Yeah, I wonder if New Delhi has like any. If
I'm sure they definitely have.
Allowed.
You know, well, they definitely have places where you can bet money for various things, but there's not so much like that's the focus of New Delhi. New Delhi is like a real city where like all sorts of needs and things happening.
Yeah.
As opposed to the strip part of Vegas, which is just wonderful, crazy.
Well, Macau and Hong Kong, but those are supposed to be some pretty. But that's like a few thousand kilometers from New Delhi, right?
No, I have heard tell that one night in Bangkok can make a hard man humble. So you got your crazy city there, but that's like a living city as well. It just has a really dangerous undercurrent to it. It's very well homogenized. But yes, enough of talking about places that are much more entertaining than
that was somehow there was a conspiracy in there. I'm not sure where, but
Warren Buffett. Yes.
Okay.
Padding his pockets with that sweet crude petroleum, through the railroad lines.
Yeah, we got to throw in that he's a reptilian somehow. I don't know.
All rich people are reptilians. Haven't you heard?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, what you been doing though this week, Josh?
What simulations have I been running?
Yes.
What games have I been playing? I played some Minecraft. In my Minecraft world, my new project is I'm making a very flat, very open space in the Nether for pigmen to
So you're not making it too high a spot, so that way you're not getting ghast formations.
I do get ghasts, but not too many.
Oh, and do you have the ground set, for something harder than the basic netherrack, so the gas won't wind up blowing a hole underneath you?
It's about half netherrack and half cobblestone. So anytime a ghast comes and blows a hole in it, I patch it with cobblestone. So I figure eventually the patches are going to outnumber the netherrack.
Wait, does cobblestone resist a ghast explosion?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I can work with that.
Yeah. Basically I've been making an area for pigmen to spawn so I can fight them without having to worry about them being like around corners and stuff.
They sucker punch me around the corner. Yeah, that happens.
So it's a lot of sort of monotonous work to create. It's very very flat, very dark, very the Nether's dark and kind of red, and so it's just a bleak plain underneath the earth.
Yeah, the more I look at the Nether, the more I think, oh my gosh, I hate that place.
Yeah.
On every level. The aesthetics, the monsters, the hazards, I hate that place.
Yeah, it's pretty awful, but, it's home. It's not, I don't know, it's just, yeah. And so in addition to that...
So yeah, if anyone out there is thinking about making a mod for Minecraft, come up with something better than the Nether, but an alternate world all your own. Find a hell that's better than the Nether, and then make it. There you go.
Oh, and I was also in Minecraft. I was helping my brother install the modification, what is it called? Flans mod. It adds
flan. Tasty flan.
It adds vehicles and guns from the one that we have, the main one is World War II era stuff.
Ooh.
So it's all these jeeps and planes and stuff. So we added that. We set up a little server with him so some of his friends can play around on, so they can have a multiplayer server. And yeah, I used to think, sometimes I think, oh, Minecraft, it's a kid's game. It's I don't know if I really should still be playing it, but my brother, who's quite a bit younger than me, and his friends, they all play creative. Like, they can't handle. I mean, sometimes they play a little bit of survival, but the kids' version of Minecraft is survival. Minecraft is not really that much of a kids' game because it's just too hard. So yeah,
it is a much slower pace. It might not be the kids' speed either.
Yeah,
it's a nice way of thinking about it.
And yeah, so they don't actually like these guys, like my brother and his, they might get into crafting the vehicles and stuff. But there are crafting recipes. There's ways like you can build an engine and then you add like other parts.
4 blocks of wool and 2 things of iron make a Jeep.
Yeah.
What? Fair enough.
It's a little more complicated, but yeah, essentially you build stuff that's already in Minecraft into the vehicles and stuff. But yeah, they just spawn them in, like just creative mode. I have a Jeep now.
I have a 6-pack of Jeeps.
Drive it
there you go.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. And also, it's very difficult. Like, I didn't realize how difficult it is to just install a mod. Like, that process. I mean, you've done that now quite a bit, so you're more used to it.
I'm double checking, like all the stuff as I go about. And I won't try and avoid overlapping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not a trivial process to, like, especially like to get your friends over the phone who you're not really sure what they've got on their computer and you're not sure where their Minecraft is, so you're helping them install a mod.
Yeah, one of the first things I did when I was getting into the mods and save files and all that was create a shortcut to the Minecraft one and then just put that where I wanted to find it. So forget hunting it down ever again. Click on shortcut to Minecraft. There.
Yeah.
Done.
So it is a little bit of that, and a little bit of so modding Minecraft and working with younger people, trying to. I don't know if any of our listeners are that young. I suspect we might have some teenage listeners. I'm not sure. But I don't know.
It's never occurred to me. It will not change how I influence things, although I do try not to swear as a general principle.
Yeah. So there's that. And another thing I did, well, I don't know if this counts as simulation, but I went to another improv workshop on Saturday and learned about the Herald. Now, do you know what the Herald is?
A newspaper?
No, the Herald is a style of improv. It's like a long form improv thing. Like, it's like I guess it's a structure in some ways. It's like we're doing a Herald means we're doing improv, but it's going to be long and it's going to consist of this, and this, like a couple of scenes, a couple of this and that. It's going to all fit together.
Spontaneous play.
Yeah, like a play. Yeah, so I learned how to do, or at least some of what
set up an Act 3 twist spontaneously.
Yeah.
Dig it.
And we played around and we just kind of, improv is so much fun because even in the practice of it, you're making up stories just like, boom, like we've told a story now, and then that's something that happened to me. So I'm
live fire exercise, effectively.
Yeah. We told a story about a lemonade stand that kept on getting hit by a car over and over again.
Well, then why do you keep putting it on the side of the road like that?
I'm not sure. It may have been multiple lemonade stands, but...
Well, especially because they keep getting destroyed after getting hit by a car.
Yeah, it would have been the rebuilt lemonade stand.
Time and again. Grand reopening.
Yep. And various stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah. I think that's about all I did for I mean, of course, more comedy shows that I went to, but I don't know how... Yeah, I heard people tell jokes, so that's about it.
Well, jokes are the funniest form of fiction.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, if you do them right.
Yeah.
I think that does it for my week in simulations.
Very nice. I had a long week this week. I worked 6 out of 7 days, and I am feeling it. I won't lie. Like, yesterday I woke up and my first thought was, no, I do not want to be conscious. So apparently my dreams have been just a wonderful little series of things this last week. Wish I could have remembered them. That's the worst fiction of all. Is the dreaming fiction you can't even remember like 10 minutes later. But because I was so busy, and because I'm still working on a few things for like Halloween-based stuff, I did not get a chance to do any Minecraft. I totally skipped, like when all the monsters would have popped in with, like the jack-o'-lantern heads, and instead I played the Secret World where my character popped a jack-o'-lantern head on themselves.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, in the Secret World, it goes until the 17th. So hey, if you realized you missed Halloween, it's still out there. And this is the first Halloween I've been with the Secret World, so I'm trying to get caught up from 2012, 2013, 2014, and 2015. So that's 4 Halloweens, all at once I'm trying to get caught up on. I guess it's a little easy, because this year's one required like issue 9, which I don't have, so it's like, oh, good. No, I just try and find some lore and get some items from that one, and that's all I can do.
All right.
And so I'm down to doing a couple dungeons, which is going to require going about in the chat and asking, like, hey, who wants to run the Cat God dungeon? Who wants to summon Jack of the Lantern? And so it's going to take me a little time to get that happening. I did get the one final rare spawn that I've been looking for a while in the game. So it's like, I just logged on and there's a big old diseased bear in front of me, so I blow his head off and yay, get an achievement. So yes, I wasn't even aiming for him this time. I was looking for a crazy cat thing, which is interesting because like over in the Blue Mountain thing, there's like cursed mobs. All the mobs are still there, but no, they're like a 10-minute curse. And if you kill them, by the time the curse, before the curse wears off, they spawn in a Kitty of Ulthar, which is like a giant werecat that you proceed to kick the tuchus out of, and it gives you a bag of treats.
You kick its tuchus out?
Or in, depending which angle it's at when I'm kicking.
Okay.
Although I had found out just like the other night, there's a spot on the map where instead of the evil Draugr, the Cats of Ulthar are spawning naturally instead. Unfortunately, oh my goodness, did they kick back when I kicked. Turns out, I'm looking at this like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, cats in this area. If I shoot one, I should pull all, but I think I could take 5 of them because they're only like, challenge 5, and I've got quality 10 gear. I should be able to take them. I might get a little thin, but then I shoot one because I got my red mist sniper shot. Bam! One automatically goes down, and that's when I realized, oh God, it's not just 5. They're overlapping on each other. For some reason, they're spawning on top of each other.
Ooh.
And so it wasn't 5 I was fighting. After the one I shot, it was 24. And some of those cats were cursed, so if I killed them, another cat would pop in.
Ooh, that's not good.
So I wound up, it took me a couple lives to get out, and say, good thing I was fighting cats, let's deal with multiple lives here. But eventually I killed them all. I wiped them all down. It was
You killed all the Cats of Ulthar.
All the ones in the hot spot.
What are Cats of Ulthar?
That's just the name they're using for the mob that drops the bag of trick or treat.
Do they look like tigers or something? Or?
They look like take a werewolf, but make it a cat instead. They're large, they're vicious with cat heads and claws.
Okay.
And judging by the height of my character, I put them at 6.5, 7 feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. That reminds me,
oh no, go for it. Yeah, go.
Another. I just read a story, H.P. Lovecraft story. It's called.
That's the name of where they get them from, the Cats of Ulthar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I haven't checked up on the lore because they're new to this year. Because I tried looking around some of the B series, and there wasn't much done up on the lore of them. So I guess they're mobs just for this. They do count as lycanthropes, so I'm really pumping up my lycanthrope kills. This last week. Oh my goodness. Hooray!
Yeah, but the Lovecraft version, they're just regular cats. But
yes.
They're like cats that live in a town and then...
Yeah, and then if you hurt the cats, they wind up going... Oh, spoiler alert, it's an 80-year-old story, whatever.
Yeah, and it's a short, really short story too, so...
There are people that are living on the outskirts of town that, are mean to cats, and one day decide to start capturing and, eating cats, or was it just capturing and skinning cats?
I'm not sure what they did with the cats.
Torturing it, if nothing else. Yeah. And then the cats got together at this, and they wound up eating the people alive. And then after that, everyone's like, holy crud, and we're not going to do anything against these cats. So it is said in the city of Ulthar, no man may harm a cat.
Yeah, that's the line.
Yeah, that's the tagline. You did, Lovecraft actually did use taglines.
Yeah.
But one of the adventures, the ones that's repeatable daily, is that you learn about a guy who's got like radios set up in places of death around the world. And you got to go there and like exercise the radios. You get some radio wave frequencies.
Places of death, like hospitals?
No, worse than that. It'd be like war zones, crashed airplanes, Dracula's personal cemetery.
Okay.
Like the Kingsmith Cemetery, where the dead are coming back up alive and being buried all over again. So heavy death, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you got to depossess the, you got to get rid of the ghosts from the radios. Get the frequency they're broadcasting at and figure out who's broadcasting, where they're from, and you go there and like beat them up. It's an interesting fight at the end on that one, because let's see how to put this. Is you fight them in one of 4 rooms, and there's a radio, like a shortwave radio that spawns like ghost mobs as you're fighting them. You get them down to a quarter of his health, or to halfway or 3/4, or finally defeat him. And the ghosts stop spawning. But until you do that, they keep going unless you destroy the radio. So what you can do is sneak in from a side room, from where the guy is, blow up his radio, get rid of the mobs, and then just take him on solo for an easier fight. And that's what I've been doing, because my gear is okay, but it's not great, not enough to take on like a continual like spawn of mobs.
Great.
So yeah, I'm taking the easy way out, but I'm getting good loot. Like. Good loot isn't like great items in this game. Good loot is like, oh boy, the best loot you can get is a motorcycle that looks kind of like, I guess, like Ghost Riders. It's called the Geist Rider.
Geist Rider.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Other than that, I mean, I've gotten some good gear. Like some, ooh, look at this earrings sort of thing. I can wear earrings on my character now. The best item I've gotten is like a black body morph suit. The Green Man, like stuff. Where,
yes.
Yeah.
Well, like they have it. Sometimes they wear to football games.
Yeah, they're like just like in like a green like bodysuit that leaves very little to the imagination.
And the purpose of it is for things like filming, like having parts of your body be invisible, like
or just look like a generic, like body form. Which is basically what it is in the Secret World. Is they just take the generic body map and then just texture it like a kind of like a. I'm not exactly sure what the fabric is. 'Cause sometimes it looks like it's like a cloth fabric, and other times it looks like it's shining almost like a latex.
Okay.
But it says like I got that, and then I put a giant pumpkin on my head. And ooh.
I like that. That's content. It's like the basic, like a skin tight suit, which is your basic model.
That is like a purple loot drop, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the higher end loot drops, the bigger rarities. I could have sold that for some sweet cash.
I remember in Warcraft I once got like an invisible shirt. And it was a shirt and it had an icon, but when you put it on your character it just doesn't show up as any. It looks like you're not wearing a shirt.
Ooh. I do recall there being one shirt that was item level 55, and that's the highest level for that slot. And you have people farming it, thinking that they'd get higher, rank because like all their items, and all the item level of all that qualifies up as. No, that was never part of the calculations. But it's an item level 55 shirt as opposed to level 1 with all the other stuff. Ooh.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. The end game is really what you want to make of it. Like, loot's good. I've already got like one piece of like. Air quote end game loot.
In the Secret World, do you have like a Stormwind or a Orgrimmar or a place
London.
where everybody kind of dances around and jumps?
Oh, that'd be Agartha.
Dances on mailboxes and
not on mailboxes per se, but there is Agartha, which is like a hub travel zone.
Yeah.
And because London is a place where most people go to get your new clothes and to sell stuff off, like on the auction house or send mail. When you pop over to Agartha, there's one really compact spot where everyone keeps popping in.
Okay.
That's that spot.
And they're like, that's where you show off your motorcycle and.
Yeah. What's the thing? You do gain like an award sometimes. Oh hey, like if you can get 10 people with this one item, everybody gets a thing, and you get an achievement for it. And so that'll be where people stand, just so people might be able to shower them with gifts. Like, I won't lie, I did try and get in back during the let's see, what was it? One of the previous seasonal events. And I wound up getting like a free necklace because somebody dropped like a present bomb. I was like, oh boy, I get a present. Open up a present. Hey, it's a necklace. Hooray.
Yeah, present bombs, yeah.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft had some stuff like that.
And that's a recurring thing for that. You can get like achievements and get like 5 achievement points. Not that the achievement points do anything other than show off how much you've spent and how good you are, right?
Right.
But hey, you can do that there. And it is nice occasionally just stopping, like your quest and just looking to see what the other costumes people have are. There's some really nice costumes there. Like I really want to get, some quest stuff done, hopefully soon, so that I can get a headband. It's not an actual item, like it's just clothing that has like a big pair of like Loki style horns from like Loki from the
Thor
comics.
movies.
Not I guess yeah, it was kind of like in the movies, but the movies were big, but in the comics it's ridiculous, and this one's almost getting towards the ridiculous part.
Right. But
it's like, ooh, I could make use of that. So I played a lot of that, doing the repeating quests. But when you get close to the radios in the game for this seasonal quest, it starts broadcasting something you can hear, and they're actual old-time, like 1940s, 50s radio broadcasts.
Okay.
You get to the right area, you can hear the War of the Worlds playing.
Ooh, neat.
And so I was like, ooh, I kind of like what they're doing on this one here. I'll look it up. And so I got to, into this week of listening to a whole lot of old-time, radio programs. Some of which were meh, some of which were totally, I called it. A few of them were really good. Like, there was one that, what really made it was the human screams. Like somebody was really earning their voice pay for that one. It's like, wow, I got shivers just listening to it. There was one that seemed almost Lovecraftian. 2 guys, scientists, are trying to find a way to send an item forward through time, and so they send like a lighter. Ahead 10 seconds in time. They could have sent it any length of time ahead, but 10 seconds means you don't have to wait so long. And so they send it forward, and it disappears. 10 seconds later, it pops back in, and they touch it, and it's ice cold, just absolutely freezing cold. And underneath it is a caterpillar. The caterpillar's freezing cold as well. And when it starts to warm up, it starts to overheat for regular temperatures. And so they got to put it in the freezer where it starts doing okay. And then things get weirder. Because the only time this time displacement will work is when the Northern Lights are playing. It's called Northern Lights from the radio series Quiet Please. Look it up. You're not going to be disappointed. It's pretty decent.
All right.
I think it takes I interpret it as a Lovecraftian twist towards the end, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. So it's just ooh, Lovecraftian flavor. I dig it. So yeah, I was listening to a lot of those this week too, especially once my daughter went to bed. It's like, okay, pop the headphones on and just listen to some old-timey broadcasts as I go about my quests in the game. And I loved it. Other than that, I didn't touch any Minecraft though because of that time restrictions.
Yeah.
I did get a chance to see the movie Mr. Peabody and Sherman.
Oh, it's a CGI, is it? Or
complete CGI movie. Done from the characters from the old Rocky and Bullwinkle about an intelligent dog with a time machine and his pet boy.
Okay, well, I bet that was terrible.
It was amazingly great.
It was good.
Yes, it was. I'm surprised at how good it was. There were times where I just bust out laughing.
Huh.
Maybe because I'm always a fan of witty wordplay, and that's how they always ended their morals sort of thing, was on a good pun or a twist of a phrase.
Okay.
And this one worked. It explained more of the characters. I was like, okay, so why is this dog super intelligent, and why is he got a time machine? Turns out he was born rather smart, and he's always had a hard time fitting in. He was never adopted.
That completely explains how a dog would be able to talk.
Well, it doesn't. Well, because the dog's smart, he's able to, and his smartness isolates him.
Uh-huh.
And he becomes, he does all sorts of things. He invented, like Tybo or something like that. He's done, big stuff. He converses with heads of state, and he's got all sorts of skills. And then one day, as he's walking, down, down, the streets of, I guess it's New York, he hears crying from an alley, and he sees there's someone left a baby in a box. And so then he realizes, what he shares. he was alone as a kid. This kid is alone, and so he winds up getting the right through the court to adopt a human boy, despite the fact he's like a dog. He's not a human. He doesn't have human rights, but they managed to grant him the right to get a boy.
Is everybody else in this universe human? Is there a moose and a squirrel running around somewhere?
You know, I would like to get a chance to watch it again just to check the background and see if I do see a moose and a squirrel running around.
Right.
But I did not notice it, and they were not definitely characters.
Okay.
A lot of good big voice actors. Patrick Warburton is the voice of Agamemnon. Stephen Colbert is in there. Sort of thing. And a very, very good, very, very fun movie. The more you know your history, the better it is for you. Because I had to pause and explain to my wife why it would be rather awkward to go to, which one was it? It was Oedipus's family's place for the holidays. You do not go to Oedipus's family's home for the holidays. It is very awkward. And I had to pause and explain to Ren, because apparently from the Philippines, Greek history and literature and mythology doesn't have a large role in society. Possibly understandable. I had to explain to her why I had to bust out laughing on that line there. She clearly got that it was a joke, just not why it was so funny.
All right.
Very big heartfelt stuff, going on there. Like if this kid, Sherman, is like his son, why does he keep calling him Mr. Peabody? So weird things like that. And
did they explain that? Or?
Yeah, to a good degree.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you're not going to tell us?
No, watch the fun movie. There's character growth. You get to see there's different ways to look at the story. You could see it as a coming of age, where at some point in time
for Sherman.
For Sherman.
Okay.
You guys Mr. Peabody has got to let the kid just be himself as opposed to always watching over him. He's got to let him fly free, right?
Yeah, but Mr. Peabody, he doesn't die or anything, does he? Or does he go away for a bit? Oh, what? Okay, well,
you have to watch.
I won't say anything else.
Yeah, you have to watch to figure out how this stuff goes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you can see it as just a nice, lighthearted romp through time. You can see it as a dark thing, but I liked it. There was good humor. The characters grew throughout the course of it, which is not something you always see in that age category of movies. And Stephen Colbert was a funny Stephen Colbert. He's a good character. So I fully recommend it.
Is Patrick Warburton the guy who's Patrick Warburton? No, I can't.
He does Joe
Warburton. He has sort of a blah 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 blah. No, that's wrong.
Patrick Warburton first made his biggest online appearance on the Jerry Seinfeld's show Seinfeld. Wherein he was the mechanic for Jerry's car that winds up stealing his car when Jerry doesn't want to go all out and fix it all up properly. He later wound up being the Tick in the live-action series, The Tick. He does the voice of Joe.
Yeah.
So, let's get it on! Yeah!
I think, remember I was talking about News Radio? I think he was in a few episodes of that because he married... What's her name? The main female lead. The female lead, whose name I can't remember.
Wait, the broadcaster or the love interest for Dave Foley's character?
Love interest. Yeah.
Was he a large guy with a nice square chin?
Yeah.
That's probably Patrick Warburton.
It was so weird because the character was a homeless wino. That was his role. But he looked like he was wearing a suit and he was clean shaven and nice haircut.
Did he look like he may have been at some point Superman posing as Clark Kent?
Yeah.
And it's probably Patrick Warburton.
Yeah, but it was
he did the voice of Kronk in The Emperor's New Groove.
Okay, yeah, that guy. All right.
Yeah. He gives a great performance, and there was heartfelt all around there and good jokes. My wife wound up making a joke related to it after the movie. Mr. Peabody is talking to Leonardo da Vinci, and they're doing some work, and he's like, look how beautiful this is. They're creating a thing. Why can't a boy be as beautiful, and as simple as the machinery we're making here? And Leonardo da Vinci goes, because a boy is not a machine. Take it from me. I tried making a boy from a machine. It was very creepy. And it's just basically just like a China doll head, on like a pair of wheels with a fake hand going in a straight line, pa 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 pa, and it's actually kind of creepy to see. Like, and it keeps getting remarked on, and it keeps popping up like pa 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 pa, Da Vinci's boy. And then my wife wound up making a joke when she was picking up one of my daughter's toys. She's like, "Oh, look, babe, pa 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 pa." So it's the sort of movie you wind up making little jokes with the other people who have seen it with you. It's that kind of good family movie in that case.
Okay.
So I definitely recommend families watch it.
How many out of 13 dwarves?
I won't give it the full 13 because I do believe they could have gone a little deeper and they could have explained some of
a children's movie.
Well, that's the thing though. So they could have gone deeper and explained like the motivations for the antagonistic girl.
Oh, okay.
In the situation, like why exactly was she so like all of a sudden like antagonistic towards Sherman on his first day, aside from the fact that he managed to show her up on history, kind of his forte, even if nobody knows he's got a time machine, right?
All right.
Maybe that's explained in the extra features. Maybe it was a cut scene sort of thing. I might have to watch a little bit more and find out. But so I'll give it 12 out of 13 dwarves. So it's a very good, very solid movie. Definitely something to watch with the kids. Whether they're your own kids, whether they're your younger siblings, whether you're just with another family watching it and there's kids around. There's jokes that you will get as an adult. That'll go over the kids' heads. They won't even realize it. There's 3 presidents, mentioned, talking George Washington, Lincoln, and Clinton. And sort of thing, the disparity between the whole thing, and there's a nice little Clinton joke, about what was like, having Clinton as a president. You get a good little chuckle out of the whole thing. The kid's not going to get that a Clinton reference. I mean, the kid wasn't born when Clinton was in office, sort of thing, right now. But you'll get it, and that's the sort of thing I do enjoy. It's something where it's not just for the kids. It's good to throw in a little joke here for the adults that the kids really don't lose out on. So hooray! So long story short on the whole thing, I definitely recommend you watch it. You can watch it alone, but I do find it to be a better movie with the more people you watch, because it's an all ages sort of thing. So it's just not like, wait till the kids go to bed before watching this one, folks. No, you get some family members in, everyone sits down, and you make some popcorn, have some fun with it. It's a good, wholesome movie. And it really is quite a wholesome movie on that, and that's always nice to see.
Okay, cool.
Especially given the fact that, it's a rather old intellectual property, the old Rocky and Bullwinkle stuff, and sometimes when they try and update it, some people just don't get it. And in this case, it was definitely like, you get it, and then you expand on the source material. Maybe not surprising, given that one of the producers was Tiffany Ward, I believe the daughter, or maybe his granddaughter, of Jay Ward, the guy who did the Rocky and Bullwinkle series.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So an executive producer definitely made sure to have executive control, and you could tell that it came from the heart. With a better quality animation than the TV show ever put out.
Yeah.
Let's be honest on that one. But yes, let's dig into the topic we had for this week.
All right, very good.
Robots. How do we get to the topic of robots for a concept on this one?
Well, I was thinking of robots as a character to start. We'll see if we get into
C-3PO and R2-D2 style.
Yeah, and I guess like Mr. Data.
Mm-hmm. So that's the thing, though, is apparently the original trilogy for Star Wars, the protagonist characters are R2-D2 and C-3PO. They are like the
stand-in for the audience, or
they're your glove. You put them on. This is you going through the sword.
That's weird. But I was gonna say, like, when I was a little kid and we used to play whatever games we used to play. Sometimes we might play. I don't think we'd. Yeah, we might play Star Trek or something like that. Like pretend to be, in a scenario or a comic book or something like that. Well, some of my favorite, I was like, what I wanted to be. Like, I want to be the robot. Like, that was, for some reason, that appealed to me. I do
recall a few times in D&D and various polyhedral magazine one-offs we were trying where you did make a robot.
And that's also true. You can be a robot in a role-playing game or in a scenario like that.
Well, that's the thing. The one I'm thinking of, it was effectively a mashup, it was a D20 style system, but the premise was kind of like Scooby-Doo and Josie and the Pussycats. You're a bunch of musician teenagers that have wacky hijinks and solve crimes. and you're, like oddball character, because, like, you either got like Jabberjaws the shark or Scooby-Doo the talking dog. Yours was a forgetful robot, I believe.
Oh, wow. I had forgotten about that.
That's how good my mind is as the DM. Also, you had the best character concept of the group. So.
Yeah, well, when you get handed something like the oddball character, you're like, that's such
What's
an
the thing?
opportunity.
There was nothing in the rule book there that, I guess the back of the Dragon magazine that didn't say you couldn't all be that. But
really?
Just kind of recommend that only one in the group was.
Yeah.
Although it didn't care exactly what classes you were, so you could have like 3 drummers and like one bassist, and that'd be okay for a group band.
Just a drumming band.
3 drummers and a bass guitar. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
Don't think too hard about it.
So what's appealing about? Let's start with playing as a character, like in your role playing game. Like what's playing as a robot in a role? What's appealing about that?
Well, I was thinking about that because I do have the Star Wars D20 system, and I have the revised one where they did include the extra chapter of creating droid characters, which was not in the original Star Wars one they had. It was so popular from their magazine thing that it's like, dude, we have got to put this in the source book now. One is the modularity of it. I found nice. If I want to create a big hulking beefy robot, I can do that. If I want to do a C-3PO, I'm an effeminate gay robot, I can do that.
All right.
Or if I just want to pretend I'm C-3PO and create a lot of clicks and whistles and pretend I'm swearing all the time, that's viable as well.
R2-D2.
Or any of the RX series. Or sorry, RN series, N being any numerical thing. So yeah. Although I will note that the R7 series, I believe, was considered a vast waste of time and resources.
So what's cooler? Like, why are robots better than aliens? Or are they? I don't know.
Well, it's a thing. I mean, I just think, especially you're asking me from the mind, point of a Star Wars thing, where it's all sorts of amazing aliens and and robots. It does get to indulge with my perhaps weird desire to play multi-armed characters.
Okay.
Which you cannot always do by default, with aliens.
Is that for cheese sake, or just because that would be kind of awesome?
Kind of awesome.
I guess cheese and awesome are a little bit the same, but...
Yeah. But that's the thing. If I want to, the 2 arms, I can do that. If I want the 4 arms, I can do that. If I want to put on 2 extra arms midway through the campaign, all I need to do is do a proper check to add it in. I can modify myself as the need demands.
What about the moral choices? Do you think a robot has an easier time going about making moral decisions?
Yes and no, because the moral outcome is always fairly easy to determine.
Okay.
But you do lose out on being able to waffle on it for role-playing sake. It's like, no, it would be better for me to do this. That's why I have to shoot you now in the leg so you can't stop them. I'm sorry. I know you're, like one of my best friends, but you cannot stop this from happening. It's for the greater good. And so it's like, oh, geez, I can't even say, oh, I can't do this. How can I possibly do it? Oh, no, my own friend. Is there any way I can convince you to blam? No, I'm done. This is the simplest, easiest solution. I guess that might appeal to the average psychopathic tendency of the loot-obsessed mentality of a D20 sort of system.
Yeah, sure.
Where, let's face it, like, even back in Gygax's days, some people were doing some crazy, crazy things to get the cash, and defeat the monsters. So we could work it into, like, other sort of gaming systems, or, and other stories, like, as you said, Mr. Data from the Star Trek series. In which case he was really just kind of like a revamped, sort of more naive style of Spock.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, because I like Data, but dude, if I had to make a choice between them, I'm taking Spock, man.
Okay, yeah. Oh, well, okay, let me ask you why Spock over Data? Is Data more childlike?
No, Data's not more childlike. He is naive. And to be fair, there's some confusion between childlike and naive for some people's interpretations. Spock had more depth because you could see him like breaking into emotion and all that. Yeah. There was one episode where he
was suppressing emotion, and Data just didn't have emotion.
Exactly. So you could have it leak through. I'm remembering one episode where Harry Mudd, it's called Mudd's Women, is the actual name of the episode. Wow, boy, am I a nerd for being able to get the name of the episode right.
What was it? One of the more popular episodes. So,
so yes, you know the concept of it then? Okay.
I can't remember.
Kirk and the Enterprise encounter a ship that's flying a little crazy and is not answering any of their hails. As they try and pursue it, it gets stuck in an asteroid thing, and they wind up blowing out their dilithium crystals, protecting it from asteroids until they can get everyone off of the doomed ship and onto the Enterprise. It is one Harry Mudd, who features a few times throughout the series, never in a positive role. The man is a scoundrel with, I won't say a heart of gold, but maybe a heart of slightly tarnished brass. Dude's not a villain by any stretch of the means, but he's got his share of flaws.
All right.
And he's transporting 3 women to become brides-to-be. You know, kind of like a space, like instead of like that Russian mail-order brides, these are like space brides.
Oh, okay.
Unfortunately, now they're largely stuck. Their dilithium crystals are like bupkis, man. They aren't worth quartz now. But fortunately, there is a planet where there's some miners doing dilithium. According to Spock, they're good quality crystals, from what he's being told. And so they got to go there, and it winds up doing some weird negotiations because like these ladies are gonna like dilithium crystal is like, dude, that is like your license to print money in a post, like
even though there's
money
no
currency,
money in the galaxy.
But you can live like a queen sort of thing if you marry like a dilithium crystal miner.
Oh,
Ooh,
I see.
Yeah. Once you like trade your dilithium crystals for untold physical possessions. Long story short, morals being done, but these are beautiful, beautiful ladies, and they go walking by, and there's one bit where like even Spock, for all his detachedness and Vulcanness, watches them go by, gives a raised eyebrow to Kirk and a half smile, and follows them all along as they go by.
Oh, I see.
Data could never pull that off. Data could never, give a look at a lady and give her like a look to like, wow. And Spock wasn't supposed to, but even Spock, he gives like a half struggling, like, and just walks off, not a word said. And it was just such a wonderful little interplay of nonverbal communication, where it's like, these women are so attractive, even Spock's looking.
Okay, so you prefer Spock for that matter, and that actually,
because he can do that at a depth that Data couldn't. Although I suppose
that makes him more human.
He was half human after all. I suppose if you were to have an alternate reality where you had Lore instead of Data on the ship, Lore might have the complexity of character, and ambiguity to make that happen.
So Lore had emotions.
Lore had emotions, and despite what Data believed, there wasn't actually that much of a difference between their capabilities. I remember Data being stuck almost for 5 minutes on the concept that he was not less perfect than Lore. Soong just made the same robot, put in like the inability to do contractions, and made him, just a little bit more basic in style and quirks to make him more likable. Whereas Spock, Spock had depth every which way. Like, oh no, Captain Kirk's been split into good and evil personas, and Spock is intensely fascinated by this. It's like, I get an unprecedented chance to examine the psyche of the human mind. It's like, dude, this is your captain and your best friend who's having like a literal, like falling apart sort of thing. One is unable to make decisions because he's doesn't want to offend anyone. He's too good. And the other one's becoming a raving maniac and trying to, he tried to sexually assault Yeoman Rand. He's a horrible beast sort of thing. It's like, dude, this is your friend and captain here, and you're studying him to gain greater knowledge of the human mind. It's like, wow, dude, wow. You would not see Data doing that. Or I guess Data would do that at the same time he's doing other stuff. He wouldn't get sidetracked.
Right.
So in this case, the robot is clearly, much more efficient, but maybe not quite so grand, in storytelling ability. But then again, you can see the copy of this parallel with R2-D2 and C-3PO. R2 being, like the robot that breaks the rules and does what he wants, sort of thing. Just watch the original series. The amount of time C-3PO is basically like, what the heck are you doing, buddy?
Right.
Whereas C-3PO takes, the best logical route, and, he doesn't want to, make any wrong moral choices, so he does the right thing all the time.
Right, he follows protocol because he's a protocol droid.
All the more reason for him to, bust out a protocol and do some, character, growth. which I don't believe ever actually happens throughout the 3 movies. He stays the same character.
Yeah, that's a good... the C-3PO has his moment when he does the storytelling. Yeah. And I think at one point Han is like, lie to them. He's like telling C-3PO...
Yeah. Lie, tell them we're gods.
Yeah, tell them we're gods. And then he does.
Which is as close to, like, progression as he gets, but even then he's still following the orders of a superior.
Yeah.
So it's a weird thing, in which case, there's your big storytelling hook, is the robot that wants to lie. Like Crichton from Red Dwarf series. Mm-hmm. Took him an entire few seasons, I believe, in order to be able to properly lie and call, Mr. Rimmer a snakehead. So, like, that was one of his grand, things, is breaking out of the programming and being able to lie. And then, and to insult someone who was supposed to be intrinsically a superior to him.
So does this make robots, like in stories, then a little bit less appealing as to choose as characters, or more because the challenge is greater in getting them to actually have some growth?
I think the challenge is greater, but it also means it's much more rewarding when you do see the growth.
Yeah.
When you see the robot, become like Bender, where he's smoking and gambling and indulging in vices that he has no need for. When a man drinks, fine scotch, he's doing it because it's an issue. When Bender does it, it's for a fuel source, or because it's making him look cooler at the time.
Yeah.
His smoking, yeah, he explicitly states, like one of the first episodes, he smokes because it makes him look cool. Okay. There's no reason for him to smoke, and he does it because he wants to look cooler. That's a crazy robot right there, man. Think about that for a second.
It's crazy, but also it has its own internal logic, and it's not... He doesn't have human reasons for smoking and drinking, and I don't know why a human, sometimes it's because I want to feel this certain way, or it's because I want to...
physiologically addicted to cigars, man.
Yeah, because I'm addicted, to nicotine.
In which case, I got to break the habit for your character growth. I got to stop lighting up the stogies.
Yeah.
I suppose to him, he's like, I'm going to keep lighting them up just because I can. It's not going to do me any harm. I'm not going to get any, robot iron lung. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, I guess that's the other thing. Yeah, Bender, he needs alcohol and, I don't know, cigarettes or whatever. Yeah.
He doesn't need the cigarettes, or he doesn't need the cigars. He needs the alcohol as a fuel source.
Yeah.
I do recall one of the few things that made my dad laugh whenever I was watching Futurama was the scene where Bender's stone cold sober.
Yeah.
The other one would be when he was, doing electricity as a drug and he was jacking on.
Oh, yeah.
Bender, are you jacking on in there? And no, my dad had a good laugh at that one. But yeah, I mean, which is interesting for Bender because he started off as the air quotes broken robot where he's already been free of his programming style. He's no longer just doing what's more efficient, he's doing what he wants to. Which is an interesting concept there. To start off as just the atypical, it'd be like playing an elf who's unrefined, or playing a dwarf that hates stone and metal, like a dwarven bard.
Yeah.
Or a halfling that doesn't give a darn about the family.
Yeah, or food for that matter.
Yeah, like some sort of weird, crazy monk that, eschews all but gruel sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so in that case, doing the robot that's, being rules broken would wind up, or I guess code broken? I'll go with code broken. That sounds like a cool term for it.
Okay.
A code broken robot would be, the same as playing the atypical, biological character.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So how about, robots as minions? Because when you first presented this idea to me, my original thought was Samurai Jack.
Well, your hero is mowing down robots.
As opposed to slicing through other living creatures. Because Samurai Jack's weapon is a samurai sword, the katana. And my goodness, what the rating would have been if he starts hacking and slashing through biological creatures.
Yeah, I suppose that's the main reason that we see so many robots in TV and stuff is because, we as human audiences...
Again, air quotes, it's just a robot.
Yeah,
it's not like it's a real being. Which is oh my goodness, when artificial intelligence pops up, it's going to look so horrifically racist. Oh my god, I already feel so bad for my generation from the future's perspective.
Maybe.
Like, the casual racism of, like, the grandparents of our generation was said to have.
You're talking about anti-robot racism, though?
It's going to be the same way sort of thing. So there's going to be, like, artificial intelligence. Like, let's go watch some, Samurai Jack's like, I can't believe you watched that series, Grandpa. That is so anti-robotic. It's just, I can't even watch it. It makes me literally sick to my stomach to see that. And it'd be like, it wasn't intended as such. It was just, like, a way to pass the censors. Because there's no way they could have shown him spilling so many quarts of blood as opposed to motor oil. Which is going to be weird when the time comes to have to make the decision. No, you can't. You can't show that car accident on TV. That car had an AI chip in there. That's a literal death. There's a snuff video on there. My God, you inhuman monster.
Is it more exciting for a hero to fight robots than just to fight, maybe not even fight, but just have obstacles that are sort of inanimate objects?
I do recall I think it was almost an independent comic book series. I remember just reading the previews for it. I never got a chance to find it. As I said, indie, so it was a little harder to find, not on the shelves. And it was about a man whose power, his like superheroic power, was that he had trained so hard his hands could crush metal. And so in the future that was ruled by robots, he has the power to fight back. Right. So they're effectively the same as humans. His power is, I can fight a robot like it was a human being.
Okay, yeah.
In which case, his obstacles in that case were much less compared to the average person who winds up breaking their knuckles trying to punch a robot overlord, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in which case, I think that would wind up explain why he's like the only possible hero you could have, with an opponent that is like as omnipresent as like the robots in control of society.
Well, I would think like maybe some kind of hacker hero or who could give them computer viruses.
I think this was before the concept of hackers was really big. This
Okay.
would have been when robots were a conceivably accurate future, but before hacking became a thing, and I believe it was even before wireless technology was a thing. I believe it may have predated most forms of the cell phone. So it is likely almost laughably inaccurate at this point in time for how robots would wind up being portrayed. But they did make pretty good mooks for the only man who can punch a robot and not destroy his hands in the process. Huzzah! I can understand why they do make a good obstacle, because it is, on one hand, man versus the other.
Yeah.
Man versus nature to some degree. Like fighting a robot is the same thing as like fighting a storm.
Okay.
It is what it is, and there's no morality behind it. The storm doesn't hate you. The robot's not fighting you out of malice. So in that sense, I would see man versus robot the same as like man versus nature, unless you got crazy like robots with emotions. In which case, it's man versus man.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Or man versus metal man.
Similar to where we were talking about robots as, like, player characters. If a robot has enough human emotions, it sort of just becomes basically an alien or a variant human, pretty much, with superpowers.
So yeah, that's right, because the Cybertronians from the whole series there with their Autobots, they didn't qualify as actually being robots. They were cybernetic intelligences by the galaxy at large.
Right.
They were not seen as like a robot that's being made. They were just seen as like a digital, constructed, like self-constructed sort of, living intelligence. In which case, they very much blurred the line as to whether or not they qualified as robot or alien.
Okay.
Alien robots. Which is a rather deep thing when you think about it, because I don't believe there's very many other portrayals of robot or cyber intelligences that are done as nuanced as like even the cartoon series was in that regards. Poor quality animation sometimes be darned. They managed to really hit that sweet spot of alien, robot, or just intelligent other thing.
Right. So I guess we didn't really define robots to start with, but yeah, it would be something without agency necessarily.
Well, in that case, you got your drones sort of thing, in which case, drones are out there in the real world. They're already here. Whereas, you could have robot as in, a fully functioning autonomous intelligence of non-biological origin. Or non-biological creation? No, wait, how to describe that? Every way I try to describe it, it actually applies for like humans building them. If they're like all robots would be of biological origin because a biological creature built them.
Right. Yeah. They could be called artificial or
non-naturally forming.
Yeah, non-natural.
Yeah.
Unnatural.
Evolution non-assisted.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go with evolution free, evolutionarily liberated creatures.
But okay, what about the robot who has like the robot avatar, the robot who has like maybe somebody either controlling it or somebody's intelligence, like
so it'd be like a human, a human intelligence in there.
Yeah, I don't.
In that case, they're just a slug. It's just like a body slug you wear.
Yeah.
It's not its own intelligence because you've got like a person controlling it elsewhere.
Yeah.
In order to be a proper intelligence for like that, it'd have to be its own. Although I do recall in the Girl Genius story, I guess spoilers. This was all revealed years ago. I think I'm okay with it. The Tarvik Stormvaris' sister was heavily damaged by some wayward equipment in her youth, and thus she spent her entire time in what's effectively like what was that thing that Michael Jackson got put in when his hair got set on fire?
Oxygen chamber?
Yeah, it was basically like an oxygen chamber. It was like completely sealed. It had like handmaidens carrying it all around everywhere, and in order to interact with the outside world, like her brother created like a robot body for her to like remotely use, and it was connected via big wires. And everywhere that the robot went, like the physical body was actually there too, until it was revealed that she's been dying slowly over the years at such a slow pace. The machine didn't realize it was no longer taking orders from her, and thus it has perfectly become her. And didn't even realize it wasn't, like an automated, thing. It was for all intents and purposes a transfer of everything that was her as her into the robot, even though she passed on. It was just like a dead body sitting in there, or just close to death,
Yeah.
And nobody was controlling it. It was autonomous for so very long.
Huh. Wow.
Yeah, it was. I think maybe one of the best twists in a series of twists in that comic book. And so, in which case, do you qualify that as like the robot that's being controlled by a human, a robot that thinks it's a human, or something that's just been so in sync with a human for so long that when the two part ways, there's no difference in how it will act.
Okay.
They've hit that parallel course.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be the way things are going.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't think that character is being shown as active in very many real-world years. A couple years in the storyline, too, as it turns out. So, don't know how things are going to progress when that client gets turned back on again. But I'll flip the question back to you, though, Josh. The concept of playing a robotic character, what always has appealed to you about that?
Well,
the robotic PC.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure it out, because in some ways I'm just like, oh, that's really cool.
Because you do have a history of wanting to play robotic characters, then.
Yeah.
Not chronic, but it's definitely a streak.
I mean, I guess there on some level it's just because I want to play something unique, something that I haven't tried before, so there's that.
And every robot has the potential to be unique, because customization and modding.
Yeah.
Something that most biological races have absolutely no level of complexity with that regards. Although I suppose, like a cyberpunk sort of future, you can kind of merge the difference. Maybe in a biopunk setting.
Yeah, you could. Although, weirdly enough...
Is biopunk a thing? Did that ever really take off?
Yeah. Somebody's probably at some point written.
But it's never become the big thing like steampunk.
I don't think so.
Oh,
yeah.
Not yet. Well, there's my plot for the NaNoWriMo.
If you can get on it. Just,
I'm only several thousand words behind.
Just don't try and catch up tomorrow. Just write, 1,000 words and see how that far gets you.
See where it takes me.
And this is not just, advice for you, but anybody listening.
Who is behind, which is likely a lot of people.
You don't have, that's the thing. You don't want to get into your head now I have to write 10,000 words tomorro's to catch up.
That's like 2 full essays, man. Oh, man.
just start where you can start and just take it 1,000 words at a time. But I was going to say, cyborgs didn't really appeal to me. I mean, I do like superhero characters, but I see cyborgs almost as that, like, it's more of a superpower than a mind thing.
Or it's a person
robot.
with a lot of gadgets that are so heavily integrated into them, Batman can't even compete with that level of closeness.
Yeah, something like that. So, so for some reason, I think full robots appeal to me slightly a bit more as a idea.
Plus, I mean, the concept is what do you do at the end of your campaign? Oh, I hit my off switch. Flick me back on when you need me next time.
Yeah, and I like the practicality and the singleness of vision that you can have as a robot. You can be like,
which is something I've always had to try and work towards when I'm creating a character, somebody that can't do everything. But with the concept of modular programming, you can have a person who can be everything, just not all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, I only got so many megabytes free here. Do you want me to learn extra languages, or do you want me for demolitions? Like, how many booms versus how many people are we going to be talking to here?
And I like the idea of just a character that can be, I think you mentioned sort of modularity, that can be, that his parts can be analyzed and
you could have it be a little extra graphic, man. You get your hand chopped off like twice a campaign session.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about running out of hands, man. You just got to be able to afford more.
Yeah. And having tools and having extra abilities. I guess there's always the power aspect of it, like a robot can be super strong or various, stuff like that.
Just generally, not superhuman, but at least kilohuman. Faster, stronger, more intelligent than the average human being.
Yeah, so that's appealing, the power of it.
Which can be matched with biopunk, by the way. You can always genetically engineer das Uberhuman.
And I guess, there is a question, like, just being human, we often ask ourselves, like, what are we really? What is... Because humans have a hard time understanding what it really means to be human. So when we look to a robot, we say, oh, okay, maybe the robot can figure it out. And the robot's like, okay, I'm going to try really hard to figure out what it's like to be human.
Are you unhappy with your life on a general level, but not so unhappy you're going to affect real change? Welcome to humanity.
So I like the thought that, we sort of put our consciousness into this other, fantasy being.
Not always literally, of course.
Yeah.
That's actually a trope within that. It's like, I'm dying of old age, now I'll put my brain into this robot.
No, but I just mean sort of by telling stories, we tell stories about robots who are trying to figure out what it is to be human when we don't even, as humans, necessarily understand what it really means.
What if I just want to tell a story about a robot that was sick and tired of caring what it's like to try and be human? I've had enough.
I just want to be a robot.
I just want a steady job that pays my electricity bills.
Just putting this piece on this car and rivet, and then next one.
I just
want
to just screw 100,000 nuts, onto a car every month. That's all I ask. The robot midlife crisis. Oh. So we're just about going a little over, but I do want to ask one more question for you.
All right.
Now, I was, at one point in time, contemplating a campaign wherein it would be the future. You could play an android sort of thing, like a synthetic human being, as much as you could play a human being or like a Moreau-esque mutant. But it was also a Lovecraftian style one, so horror and insanity was definitely a concept in there.
Cool.
So what is your perspective on insane robots?
It makes sense. I mean, your wires can get crossed, so sure, yeah.
Aberrant programming, not enough neural pruning programs going on in there.
Yeah, it can be pretty scary.
Well, so that's the thing is, one of the ways you could go insane in a campaign as rating up was being alone. Surely, I have experienced being alone. Like, I remember doing night shift stuff where I'd meet for 5 minutes a day a human being at most, and then I'd be alone the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that every night for just over 2 months, and then it's just wow, it was starting to really get to me. I was starting to see people where there weren't any. It was Like I was taking sanity damage off this sort of thing, man. This lack of contact with another intelligent being. And so I was thinking in the campaign, like, because like this isn't like, oh yeah, we're going to Mars. Okay, now we're there. This was like Mars is still a long ways away. You got to wait there. Yeah. And like, what do? Oh, I guess I'll put myself in the cryo chamber and I'll sleep.
Yeah.
And I'll just wait for the ship to wake me when the time comes. Well, what happens if the ship goes insane because you weren't there to talk to it for like the 3 months it took to get there? It all had all that time to think by itself, but nobody to bounce the ideas off of.
Yeah.
And well, thus you could go like space crazy would be like just being so isolated and alone for so long.
Yeah, I think you can think of humans as sort of in a way being designed or being like conditioned or programmed by our our DNA and our very physiology to be social. Yeah. So in terms of a robot, I think some robots might be specifically designed to interact with either humans or other robots, and you can imagine that their programming might go a little awry if they don't get the feedback.
Exactly, it would wind up being like either positive or negative feedback loops where you don't have that controlling factor. Yeah. And would it be that on just crazy for myself to assume that an artificial intelligence would be by default one that would be designed to interact with other intelligences?
Maybe not. Just the because there is an
artificial
you just have
like a machine program routine? You don't need intelligence unless it is supposed to be interacting on a somewhat regular basis with other intelligences.
Well, maybe because if
there are only other artificial intelligences.
Yeah, because I mean, we have computers that are intelligent in a lot of ways, but don't necessarily have that interactive or their interactive capability is limited. It's not like they can talk to you; they can accept input.
Although
and give
Cleverbot's getting pretty decent at it.
Right. But yeah, maybe that's a key component of what we would see as artificial humans. It would be that ability to socialize and to just talk back and forth.
So an artificial intelligence could get lonely and go insane from isolation.
Yeah. If it's designed, and it might turn out to be that it has to be in order to cross a certain threshold of usefulness, it might require social. That's because artificial intelligence, they can learn. That's something that they've added. They've been working on.
Well, that's kind of what one of the definitions of intelligence is the ability to learn.
Yeah.
So without anybody there to properly teach you, you only learn what you think you're seeing and observing, which is not necessarily the most absolute, of realities.
Yeah, and I imagine
especially in a Cthulhu-esque campaign, right?
You could have a small error that, if it's not corrected, it would just compound on itself and exponentially
next thing you know, you're flushing human bodies out into space.
Yeah.
Whoops. Guess you shouldn't have slept for 3 months, buddy.
But I guess in a campaign setting in a world, you want some if it's a Call of Cthulhu type, then I guess the heroes inevitably
are Lovecraftian,
yeah, Lovecraftian. It's just basically a matter of time before your heroes or your protagonist, your hapless
the protagonist, the PCs,
they eventually just succumb to madness themselves or get killed or whatever. But
the fun thing would be oh boy, I'm going to play a robot. Robots, oh no, my robot went insane.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Because D&D has this built-in idea that problems are solvable, and that if you had this
for D&D especially, problems tend to be solvable by dealing 1d6 damage per round.
Yeah. Or in third edition, roll a skill check and you fix the computer's insanity problem. Oh, yay.
I had some rules on that, or you could generally restore insanity points over time by, interacting and helping correct those crazy things. Because, let's face it, we all know someone who spent far too much time alone and they're kind of creepy sort of thing.
Okay.
So even a robot can have that happen to them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So you're saying, okay, so my concept of insane robots in a Lovecraftian campaign is not too out there. Dig it.
Yeah, very good.
I think there's been a nice little base covered here on robots. Final thoughts?
Final thoughts.
A robot isn't
Robots
any, like as a character, as a PC, as a mook, as a villain, isn't any inherently better or worse than anything else. It has to fit the story that you're trying to tell with this sort of thing.
Okay.
Like you can do some interesting work. I do believe the folks at Penny Arcade have a nice Automata series that they do, where it's done as like a 1940s detective noir style, but with robots in there, as like a second-class citizen. So you could utilize the robot as like an out-of-place thing to make it distinguished from like every other, like Sam Spade sort of detective story. You could have it work as an allegory for racism. It's not a robot, it's an African person. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, yeah, now I can tell a story, with a robot that I probably might not be able to get away with as another group. But it has to fit the story. It has to do something. It has to add to it. You can't just have a robot for the sake of, and then a robot shows up.
You can't?
There's got to be a reason for a robot. Same way there's got to be a reason for, like almost anything you put in a storyline sort of thing. Although I suppose in D&D it's all like 4 random people come out of absolutely nowhere and do something.
Yeah.
But a proper storyline involves them and it weaves them into the campaign universe at large.
Yeah, I think it depends on what you're actually doing.
What stories, what motifs do you want to tell?
Well, one of the things we do in improv is we just throw something at the wall, like, now there's a robot, and then you have to justify it. Then they'd be like, why is it in the story?
It is Disco Bot.
Yeah, and sometimes you don't justify it properly, and that's like, there was a robot, but we didn't find out why, and oh well. And that sometimes happens in movies too. Like robots sometimes are just window dressing, or just background,
to show that you're in the
future. It's the future. Yeah. I think it's a little bit. Sometimes in Futurama, it's a bit like that. They just have robots in the background doing whatever.
It's another ethnicity sort of thing, and they want to show how mixed and mingled things are. So every once in a while you got a robot in the background.
But Futurama also has a good number of robot-centric plot lines. Some of which are like the robots are. Yeah, again, they're not entirely mechanical. There's almost like just sort of an alien race.
An alien race made on Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I do our social media?
Sure,
too?
yeah.
Write us an email, thesimulationist@gmail.com is our email address. You can comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/thesimulationist. And there's a YouTube page that you can comment on, youtube.com/thesimulationist. And you can tweet at me, @SpaceBoot1 is my Twitter handle.
That's just Josh. I peek into Twitter, but I do not have a handle.
Yes, unfortunately. Feel free to comment and respond on anything that we've talked about. In fact, anything at all that sort of comes up during the podcast that inspires you to have another thought, go ahead and put it on one of those platforms. And,
if you are from the year 3015 and you are using us as a reference because you're a robot, feel free to start up your own whatever social media is and revive us in some form.
Yeah.
Just because we're not a part of it at the time doesn't mean you can't make it happen. Just wanted to throw that out there.
And then, if you found us on iTunes, we would love to have your review. And if you know any other gaming geeky friends who might also enjoy The Simulationist,
real or cyber,
we would love for you to share share this show with them. You can share on Facebook.
Do you want to play a robot? Do you want to play a robot in a campaign? Do you want to suddenly, hint to your DM how to do it?
Yeah.
Let them see this, iteration. Link it.
Yeah, send them a link or talk to them in real life about all this.
Well, say, hey, listen to this. I think these guys got some good ideas and they've inspired me. I'll give it a listen, and then, let's just talk about me making a robot character in your campaign.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's however well it goes, or however bad, especially if it goes bad, let us know, man. I want to hear details on this fun. Let us know through any of our social, accounts and stuff. Do it.
That's right. Okay, so cool. And we did our final thoughts, so I guess we're signing off.
So we'll hear from you again, or you'll hear from us in 7 days.
And hopefully we'll also hear from you in text form or some other form.
Within the next 7 days.
All right, I've been Josh Levin.
I've been Ryan Kirkby.
Send money.